Hey guys, it's him, and today I'm going to be talking about the things I don't like about HNK.
You were the chosen one!
No, look. I'm not betraying anything. I think with any form of media you really enjoy, you should know the positives and the negatives. If you're thinking, why am I doing this now? Well, embarrassing secret, but I never actually finished HNK1.
It was said that you would destroy this and not join them!
I know what happens because of the games and other media, but I've never actually watched past Souther's arc in the anime, at least until now since I've started rewatching it recently. So, now that it's all relatively fresh in my mind, I thought it'd be neat for me to give my opinions and talk about some of the weaker elements of the show, and see if you guys feel the same or if you completely disagree with me. And before I officially start talking, two more things. One, if you expect me to simply tear into this show, that's not gonna happen. This isn't a rant type video, so don't expect me to do that. Second, this video isn't scripted past this point. It's basically me just reacting to bullet points, so don't expect the same kind of structure my other videos have. With all that out of the way, let's begin. Okay, now the video is actually starting and it's just me. And we have our first point, Shin. I don't like Shin as a character. Now I know, Em, you made a whole video about him. What do you mean you don't like him? As a character, I think he's written not great. And I know later in the show he has his own little redemption where they go like, he actually sent Yuya away and pretended. I think that works in the movie because like he tells Ken, he's like, oh, we're fucked up, Road took her. That made sense. Animation, he doesn't do that. He just goes like, Yuya jumped, goodbye. I'm like, why did we write him like this? And then people think, oh well, his redemption arc redeemed him. It did not, because I think they wanted you to forgive him because it was like, oh, he saved Ken's girlfriend. Yeah, that's fair. But then you think about, he still almost killed Ken to take her, and the whole aspect where they were like, oh, they used to be best friends. I'm like, Ken, you have some horrible friends. If this was your best friend and he's out here, I'll kill you because your beat up brother told me to. Long story short, I don't like Shin. I just don't. Was not written very well. He was a good first villain. He was very memorable just because of his stupid, annoying laugh. If they gave him more reason for taking Yuya at the start, like if he knew she was gonna be in trouble or something, and he didn't almost kill Ken, then I think he would have been a better character. But as it stands, he's kind of meh. Mamiya kind of sucked. I don't know if this is a controversial opinion. I've never really heard anyone else talk about Mamiya other than going like, yeah, I like her. But it's like, in the show, she did not do anything. If you pay attention to the anime, every single time, she will knock out 2 people, and then she'll get knocked out. I'm not even joking. Every single encounter she has, she'll knock out 2 people, and then she gets instantly knocked out. I'm struggling to think of a single time she did anything of importance. Because every time she was involved in encounter, she almost died or got captured every single time. And then there's the whole she liked Ray thing, and like, I think it's universally accepted that that was a little rushed. It kind of didn't make sense because at first she was like, oh, Ken, oh, my man Ken, and Ken was like, I have a whole ass dead girlfriend and you're coming on to me. And then Ray like he dies to avenge her, and then she's like, oh, I love him. I'm like, no you didn't. I'm like, that was never part of her character. She didn't even really like Ray. Ray was like mad creepy at the start. Ray would have got canceled today if he did half the stuff he did in the show to her now. Like, that whole aspect just felt rushed. I didn't really like it. And on the second part of this, a lot of the female characters are bad. I can't really name one that is helpful, to be honest, because what is there? There's Rin. She cries. That's really it. There's Mamiya. We just talked about why I don't really like Mamiya. And Yuya, I guess. Yuri's like white bread. Like, she's kind of just like, it's gonna sound really bad out of context, she's kind of just like the objective. Like, she doesn't really like actively do anything, so I'm not gonna go like, oh, Yuri is cool. Maybe in HNK2 it gets all crazy, but like in HNK1 none of them were written good. I don't know what else to say. I do believe that the writer admitted that, and that's why we got that spin-off story where like all the main characters were female. But as it stands for just normal HNK, they were lackluster. Toki and the Death Omen star scene. Okay, so some of you may be wondering, what is he talking about? The Death Omen star has been seen multiple times. I'm talking about the first scene where they're at the campfire and Ray sees it and Mamiya sees it and he doesn't say anything. That part had me shocked and appalled because I remember freaking out because I'm like, oh, this means they're all gonna die. And then Toki didn't say anything. I'm like, why would he Why would he not say anything? That is so stupid. Like, oh dang, I know my brother's friends are gonna die. Let me not tell them. I don't even really remember how they figured out. Didn't Ro say it? Or like, when Ro was about to kill Ray, he said it? And then she was like, oh, I can see that too. Like, Toki, you could have told them that. He could have told Ray, oh, you're probably, you got some issues coming up, man. Like, he could have told him that, but he didn't. I'm just saying, that scene, that small scene, irritated me way harder than I think it should have. Jagi was underutilized. This is something you're probably going to hear me say a few times in this list, because I feel like a lot of characters were underutilized in HNK. But Jagi has what I like to call Raohs syndrome. He could have been an extremely interesting character, and then they killed him, and then he never comes back. Like, Jagi is literally evil Kenshiro. He is an evil version of the main character. And they just did not do anything with it at all. They just went like, oh, he died. And that was it. I understand the whole point of Hnk1 was, you know, Ken has to get rid of his brothers. They have to have their fists sealed or whatever. But I'm like, I think Ken should have beat him up. And he lives it and comes back later. And he isn't, like, stupid weak. You know, that was the other thing. They made Jagi like dummy weak. I understand they were like, oh yeah, he's smart and he's like a schemer, but I can't fully put into words how like underwhelming it was, because they hyped him up like a good amount, right? Even when Ken left, he was like, y'all can't follow me because my brother, he's mad fiending. Like, they were scared of him. And then he gets clowned. Like, he should have been stronger. He should have done more. I understand he set up the whole start of the show, and I'm like, that's cool. But I'm just kind of disappointed that with this character who sets up the start of the show, is basically an evil version of the main character, and has his powers, and could have been super interesting, gets into one fight and then dies. And then he is never mentioned again for the rest of the show, unless there's a flashback with him directly in it. Ray should have lived longer. So you see what I mean by characters being underused? I think the thing with Ray is if he lived longer, I don't really know what he would have done. This isn't something I'm super angry about, but it feels like Ray just kind of started getting interesting when they killed him. Because before he was like creepy guy, and then he went to creepy guy who saved his sister, to, oh, he's becoming a good dude, and then they killed him. I'm like, I feel like he could have been just like a side character they left alive. I know this is HNK, and if your name isn't Rin or Bat, you're probably going to die, but he got it real bad, and I wish he didn't. That's all I'm trying to say with this. Ro's first fight kind of sucked at establishing him. What I mean by this is, they give him the whole strong thing. You understand that he's a threat. He rolls up on his horse, he like murks Ray, and it's like, oh, this dude's scary. But you kind of just get the feeling he's like Jiren, like he's just a wall, like a brick that's just there to be annoying. Because they go like, oh, he's the strongest man on earth, and then he immediately cheats fighting Toki, and then Ken almost kills him. Like, they both almost kill each other, and I'm like, you can't have me be afraid of this dude and go like he's freakishly strong, and then he almost dies twice. Toki could have killed him if he didn't cheat in that first fight, and Ken was like 3 seconds away from doing that. So he should have been established better than I'm just a dickhead, because later he turns into an actually good character. It's just when you first see him, it's like, this dude sucks. Mamiya was stupid in Ro's first fight. Okay, some may be wondering, what am I talking about? What is he talking about? What does he mean by this? If you remember, in Ro's first fight, Ro pins Toki. I hope I can find the clip for this. But Mamiya is aiming at Ro with a dart, and they go, no, don't shoot him, he'll catch the dart. And she's like about to cry, about to shoot the dart. And they're like, you're stupid, he's gonna kill you, and it won't even do anything because he's not even gonna flinch. And she's like, goodbye. I'm like, what is this? Sitting here having an emotional breakdown about it. And then she shot it anyway, and I think Ken had to save her. That whole scene I think was pretty stupid. Yuda was a terrible villain. That was pretty straightforward. I was literally going to make a video about this. I was gonna make a video on why I think Shin and Yuda sucked, but I didn't do it. But I think Yuda is the worst Hnk1 villain. Like, he felt pointless. He felt like a filler character. And then it's like, oh, this is a real arc. This is really happening. I understand he was made because they were like, oh, Mamiya sees the Death Omen star and he's gonna kill her, and now Ray has to stop him. I get that. I didn't understand what he wanted. I understand the whole thing where he was like, oh, Rei moves really pretty. And I was like, that's kind of a dumb motive, but, you know, it's anime. I can kind of understand it, I guess. What was he doing before that? The whole thing where it was like, he captures ladies and then tells them to say he's pretty or else he kills them. I'm like, why is he doing that? Like, because he's insecure. He came off like a big stupid baby. I'm like, his motivations suck. What he was doing before the story started of him just kidnapping people, I didn't understand it at all. Like, what is this character? He sucks. And then they start fighting, and then he pulls a Jagi and cheats, and I'm like, oh god, bro. And I don't even remember him doing any moves other than dying. Like, I know in the games he has moves, but I don't think he legitimately did any of them. Because it was literally like the second him and Rei started fighting, Rei started whooping his ass, and then he was like, oh, I gotta cheat. And then he died anyway. You could probably throw in an argument like, why don't you hate the Devil's Rebirth or like the Golan arc and all that? That's because those felt like intentional throwaway villains for Ken to just look cool on. He was one of the South Stars, like he was a main villain. He just sucked. Period. Koryu was a bad character. What do you mean by this? Don't you mean underwhelming or, you know, underappreciated? No, I mean he was a bad character. Unlike someone like Jagi or Yuda, there wasn't any, like, preset build-up to, oh, we have to fight this guy or deal with this. Koryu was only mentioned when they were gonna kill him. He died in, like, the same episode he was introduced, and then he only did 3 moves, and the last one was a suicide attempt attack that didn't work, and then he died. And that's all we know about Koryu. He trained with Ryuga, and he should have been really strong, but we didn't get to see him do anything other than get clapped, so who knows? He might have sucked. Like, it was so bad. This character has no point to exist. He might as well be Jackal or something. Jackal even had more build-up than Koryu did. He was a filler character that existed to die. There was no reason for Koryu to be in the story. If you wrote him out of the story, literally nothing would have changed. Toki felt a bit underutilized. I told y'all this was going to be a trend. Toki has the same exact problem that I had with Rei. He became a really interesting character when he was dying. We all knew, past like the first introduction of Toki, he was going to die at some point. Like, when he saw the Death Omen star, it was like, yeah, he's gonna die. We all know that. But he had his most interesting, like, revelation when he was about to die. That whole part where he was like, Kenshiro, you've made me want to fight again, and I know whose fists I have to seal. I was like, okay, Toki, we see you. And then he died because of Ryuga, funk booty self. I wish they let him just kind of die from the illness, you know? It's not like after that Raohs fight I was expecting him to just go, you know, just start beating people up, because he obviously couldn't have done that. But something about him having his best moment and then Ryuga immediately kills him, it rubbed me the wrong way. Again, like the Rei thing, I think it would have been cool if they left him on the side and then he just, you know, casually dies in between like Hnk1 and 2 from his illness. Instead of just, look at this cool character we've made. Now let's murder him. When he can't even fight. That was the worst part. He couldn't even fight Ryuga anymore. He had no, I'm so shook. Toki got done dirty. That's what I'm trying to say. Ryuga, as a character, was kinda stupid and his final fight wasn't that great. I don't think this is a controversial opinion. Every time I looked in the Crunchyroll comments on all of his episodes, it was like 84% of them were like, I don't understand him, he kinda sucks. And the other half was, he's Yuria's brother? And I think that's the main problem with Ryuga. He could have been really interesting. I think he's better than Shin and Yuda. Like, he's better than those bottom tier villains. But they didn't deliver on what he could have done. Basically, all he does is he follows Raohs, and then he has like this eternal conflict of who needs to lead the world forwards. He kills Toki, and then he fights Ken. And the fight sucked. I'm like, I think they should have made him do more. They should have made him do like some actual atrocious stuff. Because all you see him do that's really bad is kill Toki. And I guess you could go like, what about the scenes where he was fighting with Raohs? But he didn't kill any bad people in that. The only people he killed in that scene were like thugs that Ken probably would have killed anyway because they were bad people, so it didn't matter. But I think they should have made him just like, I don't know, they should have just made him like murder a village. Like there should have been a village that was like, we're not serving Ro, and then he just went like, oh really? Ice Wolf Fang Fist, and then he kills all of them. That should have happened. As for the final fight, I need closure, dude. I need someone to tell me why he sliced his stomach before Ken got there. Was there any good reason for that? Because it didn't make sense to me that you go, let me test this man so he can save my sister. But before he gets here, I'm going to slice my stomach open. Why did he do that? I feel like I was robbed of a fight that could have been incredible because he did that. I'm like, the buildup was so nice, right? Because it's like, this man just killed Ken's brother. Ken's pissed off. And Ryuga's out here pulling a perfect cell like, what's wrong? That was a baby punch. You call that a punch? God, you're trash. And then Ken gets mad and he starts wiping the floor with him. I'm like, yes, this scene could go on for like 20 minutes and I would be happy. And then the fight stops because this idiot sliced his stomach open for no reason. I feel like I was robbed of closure. After he killed Toki, I was like, Ken, you could beat this dude around like a ping pong ball. That's all I need to happen. And then it didn't happen. And the whole aspect of him being Yuri's brother, I think they could have done really interesting stuff with that, but man, that pissed me off. I'm sure you can tell because this is the longest section so far, but that grinded my gears. that made me mad. And last, so far, I wish the Nanto chariots got more. What could you possibly mean by this, M? Yuza got a lot of screen time and he was a pretty good character. So was Fudo. I'm talking about Hyuei and Shin. Why am I talking about Hyuei and Shin? Well, Shin is a firebender. We haven't seen anyone like that so far. And I'm like, oh, that's super interesting. But what I'm mainly upset about is Hyuei. And you may be saying, Hyuei is such a nothing character. He has the coolest martial art in the whole show. He fights with air. Like, how the hell are you gonna beat air? That first time he shows up and he sprinted at those goons and they all got cut up by the air. I'm like, how do you beat this man? And then Ro one taps him. I'm like, what the like, and then they just kill him. This is a war crime. Like, how could you do that? Anyways, that's all I had to talk about. Now you're talking to M 2 years, god damn. From 2 days later after finishing editing this video. This was different, but I did want to make a video like this just to talk about some of the stuff I didn't like about HNK. I don't really know what the public opinions are on what I talked about in this video, so I'm really curious what you guys have to say about this. But anyways, that's it for now. I'm trying to hit 350 subs by the end of the month, so if you're not subbed, I would be grateful if you did. With that, I've been M, and I am out.